Good evening, YouTube. This is Pastor Lavelle Jennings here again at the Gazebo Talk. A few days ago, we did some interviews with some siblings. We have Bonnie Hill, we have Tony Hill, and Mark Hill. Very interesting set of siblings. The first two, I'm going to say, or at least Mark Hill and Tony Hill, they have a different generation than Bonnie Hill, and so they needed to be separate because Bonnie had some things to say. But we're going to input Bonnie Hill some kind of way as I edit into also the talk. So stay tuned for that interesting interview with these siblings that are a special part of Baldwin. I'm here with a sister and a brother of the Hill family, and we're going to have them introduce themselves. Mark, will you go and introduce yourself? And then
Yes, I am Mark Hill. I am the fourth child of Panola and John Hill, raised in Baldwin, Michigan, now living in Kalamazoo.
Amen. Okay.
I'm Tony Hill. I'm the third child of John Hill Sr. and Panola Hill, and reared in Baldwin.
Okay.
And I'm currently living in Grand Rapids.
Okay. Well, Mark, you told me some interesting history about some of the teachers that you, and they were black and white teachers, and we're talking around age of grammar school, or what would you call it, elementary?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Elementary. Do you remember some of the black teachers, or what teachers did you have around there that stands out for you?
Yeah,
I can name each and every one of my teachers because I was blessed to have great teachers. And I think that's why I'm an educator now.
Okay.
Is what I
and you
share
are
with
educated now.
I'm a principal now.
You're a
Yes,
principal,
high school
okay.
principal. And, first grade, Jesse Brown. Second grade, Marie Moore, rigid, and stern. Third grade, Miss Ramsey. Fourth grade, I call the dynamic trio. There's a black teacher from HBCU, Sadie Bond was her name.
Okay.
She's married now, and I visited Mr. and Ms. Nichols some months ago, and Ms. Nichols connected me with her, and it was so great to be able to have a conversation
Okay.
with her. Then also Miss Sue Parker Johnson.
Okay.
And Miss Sue Olson. So the three of them, and I think it was brilliant, as an educator, looking at that anytime you break up subject matter so that the teacher can specialize
Okay.
and help the student to learn. I'm going to step out on the limb and say this was the first year they made an attempt to do that, and it was phenomenal. Whoever made that decision to have 3 fourth grade teachers to break up or departmentalize. So Sue Parker Johnson was social studies. Sue Olson was science.
Okay.
And Sadie Bond was math.
And this was in like you're saying what, the 70s
So
or the 80s?
that would have been
70s, okay.
76.
Wow.
Yes, that would have been 76.
Quick question: portables. That was y'all in the portables? That was in the portables.
Yes.
Portables.
So Sadie Bond was in the elementary building, but Sue Olson and Sue Parker Johnson were in the portables.
There was portables back then. You mean not with a real schoolhouse? It wasn't a real school.
Yes.
It
Right.
was portables,
You had
meaning
to go
trailers.
outside.
Yep.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes. And let me tell you, those three educators right there were top notch, and I stand behind that even to this day as an educator.
Tony, what are you now? So you stand on what Mark just said. There were portables back then, and where were those portables located?
They were outside. I'm gonna say about 3 feet, 3 yards, or something like that, outside the elementary school.
Elementary school. And
Yeah.
elementary school was what? Because I came up here, like I said, 85, and I'm not sure. I wasn't back then in the 70s. So where was the elementary school? You talking about where it is now, or was it remade?
Where is located now? It was when you first enter. It was from kindergarten to.
Kindergarten was at Nelson.
You are correct.
Nelson. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was
kindergarten
first.
at
It was first grade. Was first grade at that? Was it first
to
grade,
fourth.
first to fourth?
Okay.
Because the fifth and sixth grade
Yes.
was at
You got
Yates
Ah.
Middle School.
You got
Yates
it.
Middle School.
Fifth and sixth was, and then we had the junior high,
7th and 8th.
7, 8. As you, the elementary was on the upper step, way up the upstairs.
Okay.
You go down the steps, like 10 stairways, and you have the middle school, that one hall. When you enter in the corridor from outside, what do
Okay.
you want to call that?
Yeah, so the I would say if you use the cafeteria
Okay.
as your center point.
Yeah, that's the center point.
Going up the steps was elementary.
Yep.
And the first hallway outside of the cafeteria was the junior
High.
Ah.
And then that back hallway
Okay.
was
High school.
Okay. Okay. So it was all like together. It's about
Yeah.
All together.
Yeah.
5th and 6th was at Yates.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nelson was kindergarten. Yes.
Yeah. And you see, I come from a school from Chicago, and we had different schools.
Exactly.
And it was
Yeah.
much bigger up there. Of course, you get lost in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So were there any racial tension back then? I mean, when I came, like I said, it was whites and blacks together in '85. I've seen whites and blacks in the school. I was amazed. I said, wow, I didn't see this in Chicago. I was in a mostly black school. But it seemed like you were together. You didn't have any problems, what you can say.
We were together. I would say it was a big family. I can remember one time
One time.
in my life, and so I was in elementary school,
Okay.
but I was always that inquisitive student that
Okay.
didn't say much but was always out of place.
Oh, hey, I got you.
But there was tension. I probably was in second grade at that time.
Okay.
There was tension in the high school, and they had to lock us apart or separate
Really?
us apart from the high school in order to get that together. Whatever it was, they didn't want us to see. But I went down there where I wasn't supposed to be.
Okay.
And I saw the tension.
The tension.
Yes. And you know, there's something I think this is a result of that. Baldwin was very intentional.
Okay. Intentional.
Intentional with providing educators that mirrored its students.
Okay.
We talk about that a lot now in education, but I pride Baldwin in being intentional in doing that back in the 70s. So there was an influx of black teachers from HBCUs. As I already mentioned, Sadie Bond,
Okay.
who was in 4th grade. Then there was Madeline Collins,
Collins.
who was Walker. She was at Yates in
Yeah,
5th grade.
yeah.
She was reading.
She was my 5th grade teacher.
Okay. My 5th grade teacher was my first black male teacher, and that was James Powell.
James Powell.
Then
Forgot about
in
Miss
the
Powell.
junior high area, there was Miss Newton, who is now Nichols. She was science, and it blew me away to see a black woman teaching science. And wait a
Wow.
minute, let me put this out there. And all these young teachers were shy. That's probably why I remember
Yeah, they were
them.
shy. They were shy.
They were some bad
And
sisters.
you remember him.
I remember that. I remember Miss.
Remember Miss Sterling? She had the drill team.
Remember Miss Sterling,
Yes.
Miss Johnson. Remember Miss Johnson?
Yes.
Miss Johnson was my
Okay.
6th grade teacher.
I remember. Was she kind of a mixed lady? Or
No,
okay.
no,
Okay,
no.
that wrong one.
She was an African American,
Okay.
Yeah.
Afro, had a big afro.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes she let it down, but pressed.
Right.
But
And
yeah,
then you had Mrs. Fitz in the high school.
yes,
Mr. Harmon in
Yes.
the junior high.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Cullen.
yes.
Mr. who is now
Subaruti.
Subaruti.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cullen and all them came,
Like
some later,
later
some
on,
years
yeah,
later.
later,
Yes.
yeah.
But I can remember in the 70s where this influx of black teachers came in, and it was profound on my education.
Okay.
And then it was even more profound to be in the classroom of educators that looked like me.
Okay. All right.
So I would say they cut through that racial stuff, because I can remember being a student and I didn't feel any of that. So that means my teachers were very intentional in making sure I was included in what was being taught.
Let me.
You talk about all your teachers.
All
I
of
want
my
to
teachers
say that say the same thing.
Okay.
To piggyback on that, there was something like he was saying. I know there was some racial tension,
Okay.
and it was 72. I want to say year 72. I want to say year 72.
Okay.
And I want to say I was in you said second grade, but I think I was in second or third grade. I do remember that.
You remember it, okay?
And there was something, I know it's a lot, the school was in lockdown. But I can't, it was just I know it was Black and Proud. I can remember everybody sing it loud on Black and Proud. I do recall that.
Really?
But that's all I remember.
Let me ask this now. Now, you are siblings, and it's like 6 siblings.
6 of us.
6 of you guys. Now, how many came out with music talents? I mean, were your mom on y'all about studying for music, or was your dad? Did they push you to do things? And explain. Mark, you are a good piano player. Okay. Now, did you?
I got in trouble learning how to play the piano.
Okay.
Because the piano was in my mother and father's bedroom. And that was the forbidden area.
She seemed like she knows.
Yeah, you couldn't go in your mom and dad's bedroom. But when they weren't there, I was sneaking there and started playing. Wow. I remember the very first song I started playing is a song, We Will Walk With Each Other. I started playing by ear, got to that piano,
Amazing.
just started playing, and I got caught. So I got in trouble, but I think to reward the gift, Mom put me and Tony, we were the first to put in piano lessons.
Really? You was in piano lesson too?
My oldest brother, though, played percussions in the marching band.
Okay.
So I already knew that I was going to follow his footsteps.
Wow.
I would go to the band practices with him. I would go summer band camp with him. I was on his coattail. Everywhere he went, I was. And keep in mind, he's 10 years older than I am. So when he was in high school marching band, I was that second grader, first grader, following right behind him.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Tony, you didn't stay with the piano evidently, or did you? Do you still know how to play a little bit of it?
Just tinkle.
Just tinkle?
Yeah, but we was in piano lessons almost 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years.
Okay. Did your parents, did they push you into doing anything like that? What would they really stress you on? Did they stress you on education? Was that mostly Sister Panola? I know Sister Hill, Mama Hill, we call her. She was also one of those, she worked in social work. Did she push you any?
Yeah. First black woman to be exact. She was a claims examiner at the Michigan MESC, Michigan Employment Security Commission, which was located in Reed City, Michigan.
Okay.
So she got her college degree after all 6 children were born.
Wow.
I remember, and you can probably remember this too, Tony. I remember helping mom. And I think she was doing it to get us engaged in our education, helping her with some of her classwork, college classwork.
Okay.
And so she and my brother graduated the same year, but she graduated before him from Fair State University. He graduated from Central Michigan University.
Okay.
So they kind of set the stage and the expectation that we can go to college if we want to.
Before Mom used to purchase these encyclopedias.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We had all kind of books in the house. What's the Britannica encyclopedias, and we spent money on them. And she expect us to learn.
So
and all that. And what else she put in the house?
There were Black history books. I have them now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a house in Baldwin. What are you planning on doing now? Are you planning on keeping that in the family, or is it gone already, or what do you think?
Nope. Definitely we plan on keeping it.
Wonderful.
You know, when we understand and look at the deed, Edgar Parker is my father's, was my father's uncle.
Yeah.
And for a black person to own that property, that real estate at that time was unheard of. And so they had enough sense, though, to have an attorney to write up the deed. Just in case he passed, it would go to my mom and my father.
Okay.
They were a young couple, and so they both inherited the property. And my father's siblings were raised in that home.
Okay.
And so since my father's the oldest of his 5 siblings, and they were much younger, so my mom took on the responsibility as helping him to raise his younger siblings.
I understand.
And so after her death, you know, we have to go through some litigations and whatnot. But our plan is to
Keep it in the family.
Keep it in the family, definitely.
That's wonderful.